Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you again, folks, for joining us online. Thank you for the people who came to represent in person. Welcome to our amazing Game Changers event. This is an event typically is geared towards our first gen students, but we wanted to welcome anybody to attend this event because today we're going to be talking about your major to your career. How do you get there? What are those things that will come up? And we also wanted to really normalize the process that just because you choose a major doesn't mean you have to follow always a linear path to a career. Maybe you take some other routes to get there. Maybe you find another career you absolutely love. So we're here to talk to you about that process today and what that's going to look like for you. So today's topics that we have for you, we're going to obviously introduce ourselves so that way we're not total strangers as we go through this journey together. After that, we're going to talk about some ASU alumni. So we're going to give you like actual people that you may know, and we're going to talk about what they studied and where they currently are, just to give you some like real life stories about it. We're then going to go ahead and talk about first-time college students and the process of choosing an actual major. We'll then slip into top skills that employers search for people that they are looking to hire like currently now today. And then we'll also talk about how to begin searching for a job in a different industry. If you're maybe an engineering student and you're like, I love art, how do you even begin that process of finding a job there? And then we're going to wrap it up with some actual tangible next steps for you. So that way you walk away with something that like you can use, something that you can take with you.
Okay, so starting off with introductions. Hello, everyone. My name is Amy Sharifi. I'm a coordinator senior with the Student Success Center. So we wanted to include just little snippets about ourselves so that everyone understands our background. So I'm a first-gen college student and also first-gen American. And my bachelor's was actually in secondary education after many majors. And then recently in 2020, I did get a master's degree also in education. But Desiree and myself are really passionate about this topic. And I myself went through very many major changes. Being a first-gen student myself, looking at the different jobs that my father had and my parents, I just never knew what I wanted to do. I didn't know what options I had. So that is why I'm passionate about this topic.
And then I am Desiree. I'm also a first-gen student, like Amy stated. I got my bachelor's of arts from here, so I'm a double. I got my bachelor's of arts in psychology, and then I went and got my master's degree in marriage and family therapy. As you can see, I am not a therapist right now. So I did not take a linear path to get into higher education. I don't have any sort of degree in that. I really just kind of picked a job after graduation that had a salary and health insurance and said, yeah, that's what I'm going to go for. And then ended up finding careers that I actually really liked in it. So psychology background, which is basically just a background in people and the study of that and relationships, which actually was still applicable to my job in higher education. So that degree still did come in handy, even though it wasn't like a typical degree or a typical like program that I would have done with like a psych degree. And then we also have today, you want to introduce yourselves?
Hello, everyone. I'm Tiffany Flores. I'm one of the Explore Advisors, and I've been working here at ASU for about 15 years. And I would say I have a lot of experience of working with students who have many interests, maybe don't know what those interests are yet, and who are just exploring our different majors here at ASU. So thank you.
I'm Jamie Clough. I have a bachelor's in psychology like Desiree from ASU, and then a master's in teaching English as a second language. So I'm experienced with higher ed and then more recently with advising. And I love to work with students who are finding out what they want to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So those are our special guests today. You will see them pop up later as we go through the course of this presentation. So we're going to talk to you about what is a game changer. You walked into this event and you saw game changers everywhere. It's on the flyer, it's on the table, it's on the social media. But what is a game changer? So a game changer here is a newly introduced element or a factor that changes an existing situation or acting in a significant way. So you yourselves are game changers, whether you're first gen or even if you're not a first gen student. You're a game changer in your own life, maybe in your own family, maybe in your community, maybe amongst your friends. So you're that element. You yourself are that person who gets to come out there and be like, yes, I'm changing the game. This is for me. I am proud of like what I'm going for and the impact that I have. It also can be a person or thing that dramatically changes the course, strategy, character, or outcome, which again, that's you folks. That's our first gen students. It's our non-first gen students. It's you in general, even just by coming to this event. Welcome to the Game Changers family. And it's also this program. So this program is specifically, like we were saying, for first gen students. So we're super excited to be able to bring this to you. We typically do an event in fall and spring, and we also celebrate National First Gen Day, which is an actual celebratory day every single year for our students, because we recognize being first gen is an amazing celebration. We love being first gen students. We are also first gen institution or first gen forward institution at ASU. So this means with ASU, 35% of our undergraduate students are first generation students. We have a lot of initiatives at ASU here to directly support first gen students, ranging from game changers and programming like this to a slew of other opportunities as well, just to make sure that our first gen students really feel that love and support that they have from ASU. We get it's a really big community, and to come in and be first gen can sometimes be really scary. I was terrified. This school is bigger than the town I grew up in. So being able to come here and have the support immediately when I started was actually really heartwarming. And now we have this designation that shows, hey, ASU stands out amongst institutions for first gen support. So some first gen strengths that we wanted to talk about. We've got grit, resourcefulness, and resilience. The ability to really overcome obstacles and any challenges that you may face as a student. The determination to beat the odds in statistics. Being a half Black first gen student, the odds of graduation for me are a little bit lower, but now I'm out here with 2 degrees. So being able to defeat those odds and maybe those things that people automatically stack against you just because of who you are as a person, things you have no control over. There's also a lot of pride in family, culture, community, in yourselves, something to be celebrated. There's also that increased appreciation of opportunities, understanding that it is an amazing opportunity to have that chance to actually go to college and pursue a degree. It is that opportunity to say, oh my gosh, I did it. I appreciate the fact that my bed in Hacienda is extra hard because it means I'm here at ASU. It means I appreciate the dining hall food that maybe is not my favorite because it means I'm here pursuing an education. And it means being able to appreciate like football games and all those other things that come with attending. And just also being able to cultivate a support network. You've got a support network here just within Game Changers with your student success coach, if you have one. If you don't, we'll hook it up. And just with ASU in general.
Okay, and now to go over ASU alumni success stories. So I am actually a former recruiter of ASU, and my favorite thing is to ask people, how did you find out about ASU? Whether it was a sibling, a family member, maybe you literally just saw, I had one student who just said that like she was Googling majors and came across ASU as an institution. So you may know alumni from ASU and their success stories, but we wanted to highlight a few who did not have that linear path to a career. So we have 6 people that we're showcasing today. Obviously, ASU being the #1 public institution in the country, we have thousands and thousands, if not millions, of alumni. So this definitely is not representative of everything that you can do with your degree, but just a few examples here. So we have Anthony Robles, who earned a BIS in interdisciplinary studies, and Anthony was the NCAA wrestling champion and the ESPI award recipient. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering any of the acronyms. I am not into sports. So author, motivational speaker, and ESPN analyst. So interdisciplinary studies, I'm sure you've heard that you can do many things with that, and Anthony is just an example. Peterson Za has a BAE in industrial education, first Navajo Nation president, last Navajo Tribal Council chairman, established Navajo Nation Permanent Trust Fund, and because of Zoom, I'm so sorry I cannot read the bottom of that, but everyone online should be able to see that. And then Kate Spade has a Bachelor of Arts actually in broadcasting, and I'm sure this is probably a name that you've heard. She does have award-winning fashion. She's an award-winning fashion designer, businesswoman, co-founder of obviously Kate Spade like brand in general. And then Council of Designers of America. So just a few different examples of how getting a bachelor's degree and knowing what you want to do maybe at 18, early 20s doesn't necessarily mean that is the legacy that you are leaving. So, and then a few more, Ao Tometi has a Master of Arts in Communication and Advocacy, a human rights advocate, co-founder of the Black Lives Matter movement, author, I wonder if we can move that up, and a lot of other things. So, so there are many options that you can do with a bachelor's degree with ASU or a master's degree. If anyone is interested in podcasts, actually, especially true crime podcasts, Ashley Flowers actually is the founder and CEO of Audio Chuck, and she hosts many podcasts. And she started at ASU in biomedical research, which from biomedical research, her career history, it did not start out in crime or forensic science or anything. She went from being like a pharmaceutical salesman and then now has transformed into owning this like large podcast network that is mostly female run. And then Jerry Williams has a Bachelor of Fine Arts from ASU and is currently police chief for the Phoenix Police Department, first female chief appointed. So incredible things. Again, just a handful of ASU alumni here, just, you know, scratching the surface with what you can do with your degrees. And obviously the next success story we want to emphasize can be you in whatever adventures that you take while at ASU. We have many things to support you if you want to start any nonprofits or any type of organization. And then obviously after ASU, we're still here to support you in various different ways, but we want to make sure that to emphasize that you can do anything. Like you can literally do anything. I have a bachelor and master's degree. I can still do anything. So just because maybe one chapter of your life ends doesn't mean that that completely restricts you career-wise. Again, it is not linear at all.
So in terms of the process of choosing a major, maybe you had your own specific process. For me, I chose psychology because I like people. And I said, okay, cool. Well, what can I do with that? Math is not my friend, neither is science. So a lot of degrees were knocked off just from that. But I really like being able to study people and their relationships. And I think people are fascinating. So that was what inspired me to choose psychology, because also I really didn't know what else to do. Psychology was one of those things that was encouraged to me like by multiple people. So I figured I'd give it a go. And I actually loved it and actually never changed my major, surprisingly enough. So when it comes to choosing a major, there are a few ways that people go ahead about this process of choosing what's important for them. Or not.
Maybe pointing this way. It's on that laptop. Oh, I can't go there.
Okay, so one possible option is career prep. So choosing a major because it will prepare you for a specific career path or advanced study. Like if you know you want to be a doctor, you maybe go ahead and pursue a degree in biology. If you know you want to be an engineer, you're probably going to pursue a degree in engineering. So that's one of those more like linear pathways. You chose this major because you know the end goal. But if you were like me and you didn't know the end goal, it was choosing that middle step that maybe was the harder process. Maybe there's also the earning potential. Maybe you chose a potential major because you maybe wanted to make a lot of money. That was the end goal, is being able to make money. And so you chose it on the potential career growth and the opportunity to have a lot of that like funds. College is a huge investment. So maybe you chose a degree too that would also make it easier to pay off college ultimately, whether through scholarships or the job that you would get after graduation. In addition, maybe you just chose something because you love it. Maybe you absolutely love dance. So you chose to study dance and you love the way that the body flows and how movement is so central to life. And so you're like, you know what? Dance is going to be the major for me. I love dance. Maybe you chose teaching. You know, teaching is one of those professions that unfortunately does not get paid a lot. But a lot of people go into teaching because they love teaching. They love working with kids. They love being able to make a difference. They love being able to be that like positive face that kids see every single day. And so maybe they just chose something that you're passionate about. Maybe it's just also interest. If you have no idea what to study, that's okay. Want to really normalize that process. You are allowed to change your major. One of the coaches I supervise, he humbly brags that he has changed his major 5 times. And he's still going to graduate on time. And that's totally okay. He was really just exploring what was possible for him as a student. And now on his 5th major, he loves it. Like he's super confident that this is the one. He just didn't start there. And that was okay for him. He didn't need to start at that one. So explore your interests, and maybe that'll help you potentially also find a major that you really love or something that you're passionate about. So some of those ASU tools to help you decide what major may work for you. One of the things is Me3, which hopefully we'll talk about. But this is one of those tools, free tools that you can use on ASU. You look at pictures, some words, and it's like, hey, here's a possible thing that might interest you. Here's something based off your results here that could be worth your time. I once had a high school counselor take this quiz while I was telling him about it. And one of the things he got was a high school counselor as a possible career. So I was a little salty about him taking the quiz while I was presenting to him about it. But he got the actual career that he was in, and it was actually very affirming for me. There's also a major map. So maybe you're looking at your major map and you're not really sure, if you're looking at semester 6 and you're like, oh, I did not know I would have to take that in semester 6. When I looked between a BA and a BS of psychology, I looked at what those classes were going to look like and saw that a BS had way more math and science and research, and that was not my jam for me. So I went the BA route because I was like, ooh, 4 semesters of Spanish, I can do that. Or there's also the degree page. So when you look up your degree on the ASU website, if you keep scrolling down to the bottom, it actually looks at alumni who have also gotten that degree, and it tells you about different careers that they have gotten into with that degree program, and it also tells you their salary. So if those are things that are important to you, I would definitely recommend checking that out. So for you, think about a career that you had in mind when selecting a major. With that, what skills are needed for you to be successful in that career? I was super passionate about being a therapist. So for me, some of those skills were communication, problem solving, being able to work with diverse communities. Those were skills that I specifically needed to be successful in that career. Another thing to consider, next slide, please. Now look at what you wrote and think about other careers that also may need those skills and make a list. So if I was looking at 4 years ago, Desiree, with that list of things I needed as to be a successful therapist, I could look at that list and be like, oh, you know what else would be good for a career? Higher education, teaching. I could look at a slew of other skills and see what possible career could fit for me just based on those skills that I had listed. So what employers are looking for when we're looking at NACE, we have a program that's called Work Plus here. Work Plus really helps to empower students to engage meaningfully with their work. This is something that you can do even if you're not working as a student on campus, you still have access to this. It is a really great program. It's something that we use at the Student Success Center as well for all of our coaches. And it really helps to teach them skills that employers are looking for currently. So with this, it also helps to assess your proficiency in 8 career readiness competencies, which we'll break down in a little bit. You'll also get in-depth training for those competencies aligned with your goals. You have the opportunity to reflect on your experiences. Part of it is also gaining input from any peers or any mentors. It's nice to be able to do this with other people because that way you go through it together. You can also collect and showcase your digital badge for each competency. So it's like, hey, I earned this badge. I did all of this training for this specific thing. I have this badge for it. And that's something that you can show off. There's also a chance to connect with a community of peers and mentors and other people who are using the program. And like I mentioned earlier, you can participate even if you work off campus. So the first skill that we have that they showcase is leadership. So some of those behaviors that you can actually start working on now to work on that leadership skill is serve in a student organization or some type of professional association. If you want to join a club, maybe look at being an officer in that club and taking that leadership role. Also finding opportunities to volunteer where you can lead a team. Maybe you volunteer at a local food shelter and you're the one who is in charge of that shift and that's what works for you. You can also volunteer to take on a leadership position in a student club. You can motivate and inspire those around you by encouraging them to build that mutual trust and serving as a role model in general, whether that is someone within your club or mentor role or something that works better within your own life. Hey, it kind of works.
Oh, does it work now?
Yes. Thank you, Ethan. There is also teamwork. So some sample behaviors for this particular skill: building a strong, positive working relationship with the people you work with, whether that is in your group, like a group project. I know how group projects can sometimes be, but being able to work in a group project is also a really great skill to have. Finding opportunities to work with others and achieving a common goal, while also appreciating diverse perspectives. So that can be in a group project, that can be in your job, that can be in volunteer work, and also being accountable for individual and team responsibilities. And furthermore, being able to effectively manage conflict, interact with and respect diverse personalities, and being able to really meet the needs of your specific group. Also communication is key here. Some sample behaviors: being able to ask appropriate questions for information, while also active listening. Active listening is an important part of communication and is another really great skill that you can talk about. There's also communicating in a clear and organized manner. We in our office love Brene Brown, and we live by clear is kind, unclear is unkind. So being very clear about like your expectations for people and what like you're looking for when you communicate with others. Also seeking out roles such as customer service or on-campus jobs that provide resources, such as looking at maybe like a desk aide or a success coach. Little plug there. But there's a lot of jobs where you work directly with people to work on those communication skills. And informing your supervisor that maybe you're interested in leading a team project or a presentation or a meeting. Being able to get up and speak in front of people is a skill. There's also critical thinking. This is another one of the behaviors listed on there. Some sample behaviors that you can work on here is going to be finding opportunities to develop a plan B to deal with an on-the-spot issue. Having the opportunity to deal with like a crisis or things as they come up in the moment. In addition, taking on a leadership role in your student organization where you can collaborate with others. Student organizations pop up a lot here. They're kind of important. And also just being able to gather and analyze information from a diverse set of sources and individuals. There's also professionalism. Professionalism here, being able to maintain a positive personal brand in alignment with your organizational and personal career values. Also being able to demonstrate being dependent or dependability. If your supervisor is like, hey, I need you to do this, and you don't do it, that's not demonstrating professionalism. That's not being a dependable employee. But by consistently meeting those needs, that's something you can attain. In addition, you can also be proactive in your pursuit of meeting or exceeding the job's expectations. I know there's like the does not meet expectations, meets and exceeds. I always shoot for exceeds expectations. That is my goal within any job, to always do better than like the minimum. And also just understand and demonstrate effective work habits and act in the interests of the larger community and people within the workplace. We also have technology. Technology is not always everyone's friend, but technology is a really good up and coming skill that's gaining more and more popularity. So being able to sharpen your skills, being able to, if you can see the setup here, we've got like a tripod, we have 2 laptops plugged in, we had to get the screen working, there's like 7 different light switches. But being good with technology and making sure things are running and working and being able to handle when things don't work. Also consider putting together a digital portfolio to highlight your experiences. Not just like a regular resume or a cover letter, but like a digital portfolio is also a really great thing to be able to send. And leverage your access to ASU's digital knowledge sources. There's a lot of them out there. And of course, utilizing videos and walkthroughs to quickly adapt to new and unfamiliar technologies. A friend of mine took an entire class on Excel because Excel is not her friend. But she was like, you know what? I need to understand how to do this for my job. So I'm going to take this class. I'm not going to like it, but I'm going to do it and I'm going to gain a skill in this. And then there's, of course, equity and inclusion. So attending multicultural events at ASU. It is February, so therefore it is also Black History Month. There's also Interfaith Harmony Week, the Lunar New Year at the beginning of the year, and we have several other months of appreciation as well that you can attend as a student. Also familiarize yourself with the university and community resources. Partner with new classmates, maybe somebody you hadn't talked to yet. Consider studying abroad. I never did as a first-gen student, and honestly, it was like my biggest regret for college. So if you're considering studying abroad, please, please, please look into it and understand what goes into it. Learn another language to enhance your problem-solving skills. I'm currently learning Spanish still since like 2012. So we're working on this skill tremendously. And also become an empowered bystander. If you see things that are happening, be able to stand up for someone, be able to help someone. And career self-development. So consider discussing your career goals with a career advisor. We do have CPDS, and they are more than happy to talk to you about those specific career goals you may have. Ask for new challenges at work. If you're like, hey, I can take on something new, give me a new challenge, give me something else I can work on. Also identify areas for continual growth while pursuing and applying feedback. So being able to grow, not just within your job, but taking the feedback from that growth. Maybe your growth process is also not linear and your supervisor can really help direct that growth. And take a professional journal to help you identify the skills and experiences that bring value to your organization. Being able to write down, here's all the things I do, all the things I'm great at. Humble brag about your skills. And also don't humble brag, but being able to really talk about yourself and like really say, yes, I am amazing and I can do this.
So 2 things before I dive into this section. For those of you online, we do have team members who are monitoring the chat. If anything comes up, maybe you have a question, want more information about something, feel free to plug it in the chat and that will be communicated with us. And then also while we are going through this presentation, there is talk about maybe you don't know your career, maybe you're not sure about the pathway. Just chatting during check-in, I know that we have one attendee here interested in mechanical engineering and very confident in that career path, which is great. And this can also be applied now. It's just identifying skills that are transferable to other areas. So we're definitely not saying like, please panic and go change your major. So this presentation it's for literally everyone. So if you are confident in your career and your pathway, it's great to know that you do have transferable skills if you would ever like to branch out. Or if you are unsure, hopefully this again will put your mind at ease while you're completing your degree program and knowing that there are opportunities outside of that. So as a first-gen student myself, when I was in college looking for different jobs, it was flexible for me to work in retail just because of hours, family responsibilities. And I remember applying for that role with no job. We've all had that moment where we're sitting there trying to find skills to enter onto a resume. I didn't know what to put. Like I wasn't even that involved in high school because of, family responsibilities and other things. So I'm really passionate about this section, knowing how to put down life experiences, because that's just so realistic. Not everyone has the opportunity to get a job. Maybe it's not a relevant position to what you want to do with your career. You as a whole, holistically, when you apply, you should be considered holistically. So this is just a few tips on how to include life experience on an application. So if you have any work with your community, so I'll go over a snippet of each section, examples, and then example skills needed. Obviously, there are many skills that may be needed for certain sections. So I just wrote down a few. So working with your community, if you spend time in your community and you have any experiences that you gain that can be shared with future employers. So maybe you've done volunteer activities. It's very common for middle school and high school students to be involved in volunteer activities, either a part of like a student club or just maybe a part of a class. Sometimes like we would take a day trip somewhere, and then working with your school on fundraisers, maybe helping your local church, and then volunteering, my personal favorite, volunteering at the library over the summer for those summer reading programs where you had like the little maps. But experiences like that, you may not consider putting on a resume, but there are skills that you can highlight. So these are examples of skills needed: leadership, project management, time management, professionalism. Although you may not be getting paid for the volunteer activities, you still are there, you're representing yourself. So you do have professionalism in that role, teamwork, and many more. Okay, hobbies. So I'm the kind of person that starts many hobbies. It is very hard for me to stick to a hobby. I can say now I have not stuck to any hobbies really, but hobbies are a great way for you to include. I've gone through many, so I can put some on a resume if I have to, but discussing hobbies are professionally relevant because it can help with experience building. So maybe your hobby, you are not paid to do something, but maybe you're self-taught in a certain area and you want to include that. So I have many friends who are self-taught in computer programming, and they were able to find jobs, whether it was an internship or an entry-level position in that area. So writing, photography, graphic design, maybe you're just very passionate about fitness and you feel like you can contribute to that career field. And then the skills needed for this section, it looks differently. So obviously, depending on what the hobby is, it's unique to that career field. Some that may be able to apply to all of them or many of them are critical thinking, work ethic, goal orientation, and obviously many more. Okay, so non-professional experiences. Des mentioned study abroad. I also did not study abroad. Very much regret that. You know, it's probably way more expensive for me now to take time off of work and do that. And we actually, our office had someone from the global education office. That is what the study abroad office is now called. So please feel free to explore that. So just a plug in for that. But non-professional experiences can range from a lot of different things. Maybe it's something that you participated in college. So that could be study abroad, any part-time jobs. I worked at Walmart for 2 years, and that's something that I wouldn't consider relevant to my career now, but it's something that I would want to include on a resume. Leadership roles on campus. So maybe you have participated in a student organization and you want to include that. And then some of the skills needed in that area that you can put on a resume or just showcase your talent, or any skills gained from that specific role. So again, a little bit of customization. So you have to figure out exactly what you're going to enter and what skills are needed. Cultural awareness, adaptability, problem solving, and many more. Okay, so interests. So the difference between interests and hobbies are, it could be something that you are actively participating in, and interest may just be, for me, I think about my interest is I may have a personal connection to a topic. So I have an interest in healthcare. I have siblings in the healthcare field. So that was an interest of mine at one point, which is why I changed majors many times. But that's not necessarily a hobby. That's not something that I actually participated in. I never worked in the healthcare setting. So that is the best way I can describe that. So an interest is just being interested in a specific career field. Personal connection is very important. So employers, of course, they are going to look at skills and experiences, but are you passionate about your work? Do you feel connected to your work? That's also important when they are reviewing candidates. So maybe there was an experience as an athlete and now you're interested in sports science, or you're interested in being a fitness trainer. So some skills needed. Culture fit and shows passion for the area. So they want to make sure, employers may want to make sure that you are passionate. If you're applying for a nonprofit, would you be a good fit in that team? Are you passionate about it? Do you feel connected to their mission? It is important to review shared values. That's something I never even considered when I was applying for jobs. I was just kind of like, I just need to pay bills. But reviewing, maybe if where you're applying has like a company website, making sure that you're reviewing the shared values and just feeling connected to the work that's being done. And then also expressing your interest shows a bit of your personality, which that is definitely recommended in job interviews. You want to make sure that you're just not this like blank face with a resume. You want to show a bit of personality, again, a bit of that passion. Okay, so now we have reached the searching for a career unrelated to your major. So like I said, I've changed majors many times. I have spent many hours Googling salary ranges, experiences, looking at job qualifications. In college, I always knew that I wanted to help people, but there are many helping professions. So I didn't know what that looked like. So when I first started looking at different areas, of course, my bachelor's is in secondary education. Now I'm in higher education. But there was a time where I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I just have a few tips, and obviously this is all research that I've done. So it's not just for me. So the first step is to simply research industries. So I've done tons of Googling, even learning the right terminology for certain positions, so you know how to search those. So search for positions if you're ready to apply, and make sure that you're reviewing job descriptions. So that first one is if you are confident in what you want to do. You know, you want to go in a specific area. I use the healthcare. Like if I wanted to go into healthcare right now, I would start looking into that area. And then making sure that you review job descriptions. Do you feel comfortable with the work? Are you qualified for the work? And then we can get to meeting qualifications in a bit. And then if you're unsure where to start, begin by searching for careers that sound interesting to you and review the qualifications listed on job postings. So while I was searching for different fields, I reached out to many people that I knew. Honestly, some were strangers. People are just very happy to talk about themselves if you ever want to like chat about their career and how they started. So yeah, if you're unsure, just searching for careers that maybe sound interesting, look at the job qualifications so you kind of know maybe what's an entry-level position in the tech industry, and then what's a middle-level position. That way you're aware. And every slide I will try to plug in ASU resources. So our special guest will go through ASU Me3 and just chat a little bit about it at the end. But there are many other career and major quizzes if this is an area you're curious in. I actually did take Me3 a while ago, and mine was all education or public service related. So I made it. I'm in the right spot. Okay, so develop new skills. So meeting the job qualifications. You're looking at the job qualifications, not sure where to start, not sure what to do. So just reading and doing research is the first step. So you need to know what skills if you would like to develop new skills. So reading newsletters, articles, books, browse employee websites, again, browse job qualifications, just so that you understand the type of work and then those skills needed to get into that field. Consider furthering your education. So maybe if you have a bachelor's degree at that time, or even while you're currently completing your bachelor's degree, are there any online courses that you can take? LinkedIn Learning is a great resource. So are there any opportunities for something like that? Is there a certificate that you can complete? After earning my bachelor's degree, I immediately started looking at, okay, can I add on a certificate? Can I do something else? So reviewing all those professional development badges all help build the hard skills needed, and then also strengthen those soft skills. Finding professionals in the field, I have mentioned that before, asking for a one-on-one meeting. People love sharing their story, either because they love talking about themselves or they want to inspire others, maybe a little bit of both there. So just finding those opportunities. And then an ASU resource is the ASU Mentor Network. Okay, so finding an internship, creating this section, I was a little bit torn because I know that personally when I was looking to change careers and I had already earned a degree in one area, we think of internships and we hear unpaid internships, and that's just not realistic for a lot of people. We have bills, we need to make sure that we're getting things done in our personal lives and our responsibilities while also pursuing our career. So I do want to emphasize that internships are offered to anyone. We hear of current college students getting internships, maybe recent graduates, but they are available for anyone who is looking for a career change and shows interest. Obviously look to see if there are specific qualifications. But yeah, an internship can be completed at any time. You just need to do the research and find that. And then unpaid internships are, I feel like what's common to talk about is people hear about it. Some can be paid. So I would just do the research there and try to find if there's a certain network and you want to try to find that paid internship because it just works with your lifestyle and you need to have a paid internship. Please make sure that you are taking care of yourself. I'm definitely not saying like give up everything just to do an unpaid internship to pursue a new career. And then an internship gives you the opportunity to work with current professionals. So I shadowed a teacher before I actually changed my major to secondary education. And I asked everything. I literally, she actually laughed at me when I said, how do you go to the bathroom? Like you literally have classes back to back. Like, how do you go to the bathroom? So the internship is that experience to ask people those questions. Like, when do you eat lunch? Like, what kind of stress level? Like, do you feel like you have a good work-life balance? So just any question that you are curious about, write it down. And then some resources from ASU specifically, many internship fairs organized by Career and Professional Development Services. There may also be an individual event for your specific college as well. Okay, so volunteer work. So depending on what the area is that you would like to pursue, is there volunteer work there? So I believe on this slide, I use graphic design as an example. If you're interested in graphic design, maybe finding a nonprofit that needs to like rehash their logo, they want to design something new, and you can volunteer your services at that point. And then obviously with volunteer work, you want to make sure that it's fitting in with you, be very realistic about any expectations, like I work or I go to school full time, this is when I can complete a project. So searching for those nonprofits or just other organizations, there are many websites where you can look for volunteer work, and that may align with your career goals and your field of interest. And then volunteer experience and any completed projects can obviously be listed on your resume, which looks incredible. Like you took the time to help a local nonprofit complete something. And then completing those small projects It will allow you to take your time if you're being realistic with deadlines and your skills, and then you're sharpening those skills that you just learned. So you're taking the time to, I don't want to say like make mistakes, because like maybe try not to make mistakes, but if it happens, like that's something that's easier to correct in that environment, because you can just communicate that to any organization that you're looking for. And then an ASU resource here is Changemaker Central if you're interested in looking for volunteer opportunities. Okay, and then lastly, start applying. So taking that big step, we've all been through the process of searching for a new job. It can be daunting to tailor your resume, tailor your cover letter. Obviously, a huge resource for this slide is Career and Professional Development Services. They are there to help you do this. But tailor your resume and cover letter for positions in this field. Feel free to go to Career and Professional Development Services for support. Building your network and staying in contact, whether that was those one-on-ones that you did, or maybe it was during an internship. Make sure that you send an email every once in a while and chat, maybe go out to coffee, making sure that you're keeping up those networks. You don't want to forget, like you talked to someone 2 years ago and out of the blue, you're like, hey, I need a favor. You want to make sure that it's mutual, like you're keeping up that relationship. Showcasing your work. Des mentioned building a portfolio, maybe a personalized website to showcase your work, your skills. Some who maybe don't have work to put on a website, they still do a website to like showcase their resume and then maybe their interests and stuff like that. Reading through job descriptions, I will always say that, because I mean, I can say anything up here, but when you actually go to apply, you need to know what they're looking for. Find a position that's a good fit for you. The next slide will have reflection questions, but you want to make sure that it is a good fit and an area for you to grow. And then Handshake is also an ASU resource that can be used. Okay, so reflection questions. I love these reflection questions because they're very important. So I'm going to go one by one and just read each one. So what role does work play in building the life that you want? That's actually extremely important if you're thinking about just what life you want. So if you want a position that does a lot of traveling, what does your personal life look like and how does work fit into that? Maybe you want something where it's set hours, set schedule, it's local, and you can stay locally. So I don't think that's something I didn't think about. Like I was just searching for a job at that point. But it is important to know what is work doing for you, because you're doing a lot for them if they hire you, but you need to make sure it's a mutual fit. What type of schedule are you looking for? And then again, coming back to what are my values and what am I looking for employers regarding that? So if it's a company that you're unfamiliar with, looking at the website, just browsing it, maybe if there's someone that you know there, like what's the office culture like, what are their values, their mission? And then do you prefer to work alone, with others, or both? And then what is it about the environment that you enjoy? So there are positions that may be completely remote, you're working totally individually, and you really only check in with maybe your supervisor a couple times a month virtually. And then there are other jobs where you are working with a team of 60 people in person. So making sure that you are considering things like that. And then what does my skills gap look like and how could I fill it? So evaluating what are the basic skills needed for that job field and how to get your foot in the door. And then something that's extremely important to think about, what are skills needed to succeed in a post-COVID world? We are still in a COVID world, so I wouldn't say post-COVID, but things have changed right now. Work has changed, working remotely, providing services in different ways to be safe during the pandemic. So, and then also considering how has COVID impacted my industry and what can I do to maybe combat that and make sure that I'm still able to pursue that career field and be successful. Okay, so now I'm going to ask our special guests to come up and chat a little bit about me three, and then we're happy to take any questions as well. You heard their experiences. Like I'm sure they've had many students say, I have no idea what I would want to do with my life. So feel free to.
Do you want me to click on it actually from my computer?
Yes. I'll stop sharing.
Hello, I'm Tiffany again. I met you in the beginning. I'm one of the Explore advisors here at ASU. And so I do meet with students daily. And I have students who are kind of on I feel like the full spectrum of this question of where they are in this whole, how do I choose my major? And also, how do I choose my career? So I have some students who, when I'm meeting with them for the first time, have zero idea about it. I have some who have many ideas about that. And so I know it could be an overwhelming thing to think about. And I know even today there was a lot of great information, and sometimes it's kind of like, where do I start? But I feel like this tool that ASU has created is a really great place to start, because when you think about career assessments, I think you're thinking about, oh, it's going to ask me these questions and I have to think about my answers and things like that. But what's so great about Me3 is it's pretty quick. It only takes about 5 minutes to do the actual game itself. And we call it a game. It's a picture game. And so basically, you can just go to the asu.edu page and just look up just major and career quiz, or even Me3. And then here you can click on like high school student, college student, parent, or educator. And I think once I click on something, because I've done this so many times, it's probably going to have like my profile basically, because what it actually does is it gives you a profile. So once you log in, there's going to be an onboarding section where you'll register if you've never used it before, or if you have used it before, I'll just allow you to log in, and you'll just use like your ASU information to log into that. So I feel like once I do that, basically it's going to show my information. And so after I have taken it, what it will do is it's going to show you your interest areas, what majors that, or what careers that link to it, and what majors you could do to link up to those careers that came up in your assessment that you did. But like I said, it takes 5 minutes, and it's basically just pictures. And so you're choosing like which pictures that you like. And so I don't know if I log in, if it's going to take too long. I know we don't have that much time. Okay, so let me log in really quickly. So it's basically going to show you 2 pictures, and it's going to ask you like which one you prefer or which one you like. And so I would say don't spend too much information on it. Go with your gut feelings. I feel like that will give you the more accurate information. Let's see. And I don't have my glasses on because it makes them foggy with the mask. Let's see here. Oh yeah, sorry guys. I don't have... Oh, it's not letting me. Did I not do the right one? Okay, I think it's going now.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
awesome. Okay, so it's actually starting me from brand new. So basically, as I said, there's 3 steps here. So there's onboarding, there's the actual picture game, and then the degree pairing. And so basically, it's going to ask you a couple of questions, and I'm just going to kind of pick some things here. I'll put here, bachelor's degree. Next, it's going to ask you country and state. I'll put Arizona. And then next, and then I agree.
Click on never save your
Okay,
password.
sorry. There we go. I consent. Okay, so here basically it's going to start to show you images. And so you're going to look at the images and pick the one that's most appealing to you. And so, like I said, it takes less than 5 minutes to pick on the images. I'm just kind of picking different things. And basically what will happen at the end, I'm just going to pick different things for right now, everyone, just so you can kind of see the full effect of this. So like I said, this takes not that much time. Okay.
There you go.
All right, awesome. And so basically, and I think it had me as yours because it has your information on there, but basically on here is it shows you 3 of your top options that came up that matched with your pictures that you were choosing. And basically, if you click on career path, and I don't know if it'll let me without putting in this information, it's basically going to show you, even it goes on to show you the top 15. So it'll show you your 3 top ones, but then it even shows you like 15 other ones that match your interest areas. Sorry, I just noticed my face is not really in there. And it basically allows you to click on those, and it shows you with those career interests, like how it matches up to ASU majors, basically. So I think it's a fun tool. Again, I have all my students start there if they don't know where else to start, because it starts to give you really great information. And then from there, I feel like you could start looking at the other ideas that they gave you and presented today to, again, just get you to a place to start so you could start yourself on this career journey. So thank you. That's all I have. What else do y'all have?
Oh.
Yeah.
right, folks. So some next steps to take for you today. Hopefully you were like absolutely mind blown by this presentation. You were like, oh my goodness, I'm going to take the Me3 assessment. It's going to like change my life. So after you leave today, one of the things we'd hope for you to do, one, meet with your success coach. Hey, hi, it's us from the Student Success Center. If you do not have a coach, we can definitely get you connected with one. But your student success coach, they're people who are juniors, seniors, grad students, people who are literally about to graduate. And many of them already have their full-time job lined up. So if you want to talk to them about what it's like to go through that process, to get through the 4 years at ASU or however long it takes for you, definitely meet with your peer coach. In addition, set up a meeting with your academic advisor to discuss your classes. Figure out like, hey, maybe I want to switch things up this semester. Can I maybe fit in a minor? Can I maybe fit in a certificate? I myself went and got 2 minors because I had the time during undergrad, and I figured, why not? They both sounded interesting to me, and they were both helpful in the career path I ended up choosing. In addition, utilize the ASU Mentor Network. Hopefully connect with some faculty, some staff on there, figure out what's important for you. Also connect with someone from Career and Professional Development Services. Talk about how do you write a resume, do a mock interview. They have a resume Dropbox where you can send in your resume and they will go ahead and make corrections for it. And even after you graduate, as an alumni, you have access to that service all the time. And so you can always drop that off, even if you're like applying for a new job in a new field. If you've never written a resume before, excellent resource for you to be able to use as a student. And you can also create an account on Handshake as well. And all of these are free for you as an ASU student. I want to make that very, very clear. So hopefully we like blew your mind with information today. And you're like, oh my goodness, I'm leaving this room as a changed individual, or I'm leaving this Zoom room as a changed individual. Like we said, this does not mean you have to like completely change your major and drop everything. That was not the entire point of this conversation. The point was to really like have you just think, are we in love with our major? If you are, absolutely support you. Go on, explore what that major looks like for you. If you are still in that exploration stage, we'd now talk to you about what that stage looks like for you and also just how to look for jobs in any industry and about those skills that you can market. Amy did a great job talking about how do you talk about volunteer work. So a slew of things that we want you to be able to take away from today. But that is what we have for you folks today. Thank you for attending. If you have any questions, feel free to stick by. If you are on the Zoom room, you can put them in the chat and more than happy to answer them for you. Thanks, folks.